Fantastic. All right. Okay. Well, when Trent Booth said, we all shared some things that were, what are the blessings? Well, this is a blessing. Okay. Up to like 8 days ago, this was not even an option. All right. This wasn't an option. So when people said, you're going to have to move your meeting online, there was a conversation. It took about, 10 seconds to go, oh my goodness, maybe Brian will have time and he might be able to share some perspective with our team. And so I have to tell you, this is one of the many gifts that we have been given with this stay at home, shelter in place, be virtual, because this has only happened because of that. But I also want to say that as I introduce Brian Perlman to all of you, is that he's a busy person, just like Shayla talked about behind the scenes, what's going on. 16 offices, 11 brand new offices opening up. He has district managers heading into their first full year. He's got veteran district managers, a strong pilot team. There's a lot of work going on to get those offices ready, especially in these changes. And so it is, we are super grateful that he was able to carve out this window of time to invest into you with his time and his energy. Brian has become one of the most consistently excellent performers in the Cutco Vector marketing organization. He's a 13-year veteran of our business. He became a district manager at the age of 19, and he's already earned 9 national championship silver cups in his management career. He's a member of the company's Hall of Fame. He is currently the number 1 division manager in the top 8 league. And when we talk about recruiting, many of you, I'm sure, got an opportunity to listen to him on the Changing Lives, Selling Knives podcast. But something he's been known to say when we talk about his philosophy on recruiting is that he believes it is a privilege that we have to be in the position and have the opportunity to recruit. He was the number 1 pilot office last summer in new business with 200 recruits. And when we talk about PRs, Brian averages over 200 PR names per rep in the training seminar. This year, like I mentioned, his division is going to have 16 offices. His pilot is going after $1 million new for the summer and over 250 recruits. And he is, when you look at his path, if you hear about it, it's all about rapid advancement. When I think about Brian, I think about his passion, his energy, his enthusiasm. He believes that if it's not fun, it's not worth doing it. He doesn't believe in complaining. And when we think about listening to Tracy talk earlier today about no excuses, right? That's what Brian's about. No excuses, no complaining. He's got grit, and he definitely displays a lot of gratitude. He believes what you appreciates. So I would recommend you putting your view on Speaker View. You don't need to when you hear Brian speak, but I would recommend you do that. And I'm going to turn it over to let him share some thoughts on the power for some recruits. Thank you, Brian. I'll unmute you. Oh, you got it. Yeah, great.
All right. Thanks, Angie. Appreciate that introduction. Stoked to be speaking to your team. I love jazz hands. Those aren't spirit fingers. These are spirit fingers. That was awesome. I loved that. Team Canada, I'm really, really stoked to be speaking to you. Just frankly, this doesn't feel like an obligation or a chore to me. The opportunity to impact another organization feels as much like a privilege as running an interview does, which, by the way, I still do as a division manager. So I just want to tell you I'm really stoked to speak to the group. I'm sure you've been hearing this left and right, but I just also want to help you adjust your mindset as we're going into the summer about what's going to be possible. Because I really believe, so I was a district manager in 2009. That's when I went DM. 2009, coming off the back of one of the worst economic crises to hit the United States, worst economy since the Great Depression. And, I remember, this is a different business, but I remember plugging in phone lines. And I shit you not, the phone never stopped ringing. Okay, like ever. Okay, like you could walk into my office at 1 a.m. and the phone would be ringing. Um, we had a receptionist dedicated in the mornings to just calling back voicemails that were left overnight, and no exaggeration, she would have a list of 50 people to call every morning. Um, and again, different businesses is back in the day when we still placed newspaper ads, and um, the business has changed a bit. But here's why I'm saying this. This was, without question, one of, if I'm not mistaken, the greatest recruiting summer that Vector Marketing has ever had. And you might ask yourself why. Well, it's the same reason that we're about to have one of those summers. And it's because unemployment is going to go up dramatically. In reading a lot of articles and following this closely, I think some experts say that unemployment in the U.S. could get as high as 30%. We're talking about 40 million unemployed. And I think about what Angie mentioned as she was introducing me, where we really have a privilege, but more than that, we have a fucking duty. We have an obligation to make a decision that we are going to go so all in, more all in than we ever have in our careers with what's at foot. Because the reality is, every college student in North America, what the hell are they going to do this summer? Like, really think about this for a second. What are they going to do? Are they going to work at a restaurant? No chance. Are they going to work at a bar? No way. They working as a lifeguard at the pool? No way. Are they getting a job washing golf clubs and golf carts at the golf course? I would say probably not, because I imagine someone decided to take a demotion and take that job that a college student would normally have. I had one of my assistant manager candidates who said 4 of my friends' internships have already been canceled, like close buddies of mine. Okay, like this is the time, and if you are not salivating, okay, with because of what's in front of you, you are absolutely thinking about this the wrong way. I've adjusted in the wake of this pandemic. I've adjusted our pilot recruiting goal this summer from what was 300 to 500 recruits. My boy Trey Ketchum is going after. He said the word. I think we could recruit 1,000 people this summer. That's what like. That is the way that we're thinking about this in the Eastern region. Okay, like I was going after 300. I in my mind, I'm like, no doubt about it. Can we recruit 500 people? Ketchum on our last DVM call goes, I think we have a shot at recruiting 1,000 people. Like, and not only, like, more, this has become more of a privilege than it ever has before, because people more than ever need what we have. I mean, there is actually nothing else that a college student is going to be able to do this summer. And I think we're going to have a lot of sharp recent college graduates walking into our office. On a recent call, I think Mike Monroe said that he had a Duke MBA walk in for an interview at the call center. Okay, and you're going to see this. Okay, I remember I had a girl named Allie Gores who started with me in 2009. Allie graduated from Davidson College, which is a small liberal arts school just outside of Charlotte. It's where Steph Curry went to school, so that might be why you barely recognize that name. Went to Davidson College, graduated with a 3.95 GPA, had a pretty impressive resume. Like, to the point that I'm thinking, like, why the hell is this girl interviewing with us? I wasn't as keen on what was happening with the economy in the country at that point. Well, Allie came in, worked with me for 3 months, had a 10K fast start, sold 30 grand, and still in the midst of a horrible economy, was able to land a job with NASCAR selling advertisement space after the experience that she got with us in just 3 months. Not only do current graduating high school seniors, current college students, recent college graduates are going to be knocking on your door this summer, and because we have what they need. So I think the first thing is, I'll admit. By the way, I'll share some vulnerability. Okay, I'm a big baby. I cry a couple times a week at least. I cry at dog videos and Facebook videos and commercials. I'm very sensitive. I know you might not believe that, but it's true. And I remember early last week, my wife was out of town. She was in New York City of all fucking places. She's been quarantined she's been self-quarantined for 2 weeks. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks, or Tuesday will. Anyway, she's out of town. It's Monday night. Shit's hitting the fan. I'm realizing, oh boy, we're gonna have to call some serious audibles here. And I remember at one point, like, giving into the societal norm of freaking out. Okay, I went to the grocery store and bought way too much of everything. I remember watching the news. I watched the news like all day that day. Don't fucking do that, by the way. Don't do that. But I watched the news all day, and I remember thinking, "Oh my God, we're screwed. We're so screwed, right?" And I was hunting for some motivation, and I know a lot of Canadians on this call will enjoy this reference. I was searching for motivation. I'm on Netflix. I'm scrolling through the movies, and I found a movie called Miracle, about the 1980s Olympic team. And they put together this ragtag bunch of guys, all college students, no professional players, and they're going up against, the juggernaut Russian team. And I remember Herb Brooks in this movie, the coach of the team. I remember him, tryouts go on for like one day out of 7. He's like, yeah, here's the roster. His assistant coach, like, we got 6 more days of this. He's like, yeah, I already have the roster. Here it is. The guy goes, well, some of the best players aren't on this list. He goes, I'm not looking for the best players. I'm looking for the right ones. And the film moves on, and at one point he's in practice with this group, and he's like, listen, we're not going to be the most skilled team. Okay, we're not going to be the best team. But I'm going to tell you something. We're going to be the most well-conditioned team in these games. And he skates them to death. I remember one of the scenes after a game against Sweden. The guys are looking up at the crowd and checking out women at one point. And Herb's like, fine, you guys don't want to work during the game? We'll work after the game. And he skated them all night long. At one point, the rink manager's like, I want to clean the ice and go home. Herb says, leave me the keys. The guy turns off the lights. Herb's still skating them to death, right? And one of the lines stuck with me from this movie. And the line was, the legs feed the wolf. The legs feed the wolf. And let me tell you something, okay? The personal recruiting program are the legs that are going to feed you this summer. And you have 3 options, okay? Here are your 3 options. You can choose to survive, you can choose to thrive, or you can choose to perish. The legs feed the wolf. You have to make a decision that you're going to treat your PR program like the legs, okay? Because this is the only thing that's going to keep you from starving, all right? For about 6 years, from 2009 till probably 2013, 14, 15, every single time I got a new planner, I always had a black planner, and in whiteout, I would write these 4 questions on the back of my plan, okay? And these 4 questions I literally wrote them on every planner for at least half a decade, okay? Until they were so ingrained in me, so ingrained in my brain that I did not need to write them anymore because I embodied them. I thought about them every day. Here are the 4 questions. The 4 questions I wrote in the back of my planner were this. Number 1, is my day planned hardest first? Is my day planned hardest first? Number 2, is recruiting maxed out? And I'm going to come back to that one. Number 3, Are my people engaged with? And number 4, what have I done to grow today? And I wrote these 4 questions on the back of my planner, and every single time I opened it, I saw it. And this was literally half a decade that this was my routine when I was planning my week, planning my day, reviewing the past day. Is my day planned hardest first? Is recruiting maxed out? Are my people engaged with? And what have I done to grow today? I want to hit on, is recruiting maxed out? I could give a full message on just these 4 questions, but I want to hit on, is recruiting maxed out? Here's how I want you to think about, is recruiting maxed out? Think about every advertising source that you have, right? Personal recruits, mailers, on campus, right? Social media. Hell, I don't even know what other ones there are because I only focus on one. Okay. But here's how I want you to think about this question: is recruiting maxed out? Think about all these sources that you have. Now pick one. Let's call it, in this case, personal recruiting. If the only possible way that someone was going to walk through your door was from you picking up a phone and calling them, if that was the only way that people are going to walk in your door, how would you approach that recruiting source? If the only fucking way that you were going to get recruits was going to be through personal recruiting, and that was the only way, how would you approach that recruiting source? If the only way that you were going to get recruits was through social media jumpstart, how would you approach that recruiting source? I imagine it's a little bit different than the way that you've probably been approaching those recruiting sources. I used to talk about this on campus, right? When our division's known for an enormous campus attack at the beginning of the summer and the beginning of January program. Guess what? Can't do that. But we used to talk about, if the only way we were going to get recruits is if they got one of these cards in their hand, how would we approach that recruiting source? That's the way you have to think about this question. Is recruiting maxed out? Here's what I want you to know about personal recruiting and the way that I think about personal recruiting. I don't think any other recruiting source exists. It doesn't even exist. I literally act and plan for, the only way for me to get recruits is when I am in control of going about it to do so. I'm never waiting on people to come to me. This isn't a restaurant, okay? This isn't a retail store, okay? We're not gatherers, we're hunters, okay? The legs feed the wolf. You have to go hunt. And the way I think about personal recruiting is, when I'm making, here's an example. We had a goal prior to this pandemic hitting. We were setting up a goal for 300 recruits for the summer. Well, guess what? When I'm making my recruiting plan, when I'm making my sales plan, the only thing that I'm making plans surrounding is recruits. Now, just so you know, last summer we got, I want to say, like 30, maybe 30-something mailer recruits, something like that. 20-something mailer recruits. I mean, we produce, by the way, we have a really strong mailer program in my division. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, it was the #1 mailer program the last 2 years in a row. Okay, we have a pretty strong mailer program, but I don't even plan for mailers. I act like they don't exist. I'm sending 51,000 of them this summer, but I don't make plans around them at all. Okay, whatsoever. The only thing I make plans surrounding is the PR program. So when I'm thinking about 500 recruits, I'm thinking about, okay, how do we launch 500 PRs, right? And the answer is that it starts with you. It has to be your mentality. It has to be your mindset. It has to be you going all in. It has to be you making the decision. Listen, all ships rise with the tide, okay? Are you a boat in the harbor, or are you the tide? Are you the thing that's going to raise everything around you, or are you just a big-ass boat? Because let me tell you, I don't care how big the boat is, how small the boat is, the tide rises all ships, okay? So are you the tide, or are you a boat? Okay, you need to be the person that shifts this culture in your organization. You need to be the person that brings this mentality forward to every single one of the assistant managers, sales reps in your organization. Hell, my CSPs help me hunt for PRs. You wouldn't believe how many times Susan Saunders comes out of a service call and goes, "Oh yeah, the girl had a daughter there. She wants an interview for the summer." Rich Plaskin the other day saw a post on Nextdoor. I don't know if you guys have that in Canada, but the Nextdoor app, and he goes, "Hey, this person said, hey, I'm looking for work this summer. I sent him your name and number." I immediately called the kid and set him up for an interview. Okay, it was like 7:30 at night. Listen. You know, the other day, it was kind of funny. Trey Ketchum and I were playing around at golf. And we were bullshitting, and he goes, "Man, we are so overpaid, right, for what we do. Like, we get, as a DVM, you get paid very, very well to run a high-level organization." And we were kind of joking about that. But for a second, I paused, and I go, "Yeah, you're right." I go, "Actually, you know what? Fuck that." Because you know what we do? If you want to be a high-performing manager, I don't care if it's a district manager, division manager, what you have to do is roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty, okay? I still run interviews. I still take morning PDI. I still set PRs. In fact, I'm planning on setting at least 100 in my office this summer. For the first 8 to 10 weeks of summer, I'm setting 10 to 20 a week personally, okay? So I think about, first of all, it starts with you. Here's one of the things that, so I want to share with you. I went to a brand new territory in summer of 2018. And I literally walked into 4 walls, and that was it. There were no sales reps. There were no assistant managers. There was nothing, okay? In fact, the division had only had 12 sales reps that weren't CSPs, only 12 sales reps in the division sell over $10,000 the summer prior. So when I tell you that I took over a dumpster fire, I'm telling you it was a dumpster fire, okay? There was nothing. It was desolate, okay? And I went in there with a PSM. It was he and I. Neither one of us were from the area. We social media jump-started our way into a January program. We launched some reps. We did about, I don't know what we did, 100K or something, nothing special. And we had this one kid named Sam Bull launch, right? So I'm thinking, hell yeah, Sam Bull. Sam's from Leesburg. He's from a good area. Sam Bull has no social media, 0. So we had to teach this kid how to make a Facebook, how to make an Instagram, and how to build it. He's homeschooled. He's one of 8 kids. I'm like, shit, So me and Joseph have to make a decision to Facebook jumpstart our way in. And we had, going into the summer, we had this little rinky-dink team. And I want to say we had a team meeting. It was in April. And it was in early April, and we had 3 reps out. Okay. One of them's one of my current branch managers is going out this summer. And 2 of them are these other 2 kids. Well, it was me and Joseph and 3 reps, right? And I set up 60 chairs. I set up a team meeting for 60 people. And I had these 3 kids in my front row. And I ran a team meeting the way I would run it if I had 60 people in front of me. And I remember I'm like, hey, don't come in the training room. Phone jam in this other room. Don't come in here until I tell you, right? So me and Joseph set up all these chairs. Joseph didn't even know what the hell I was doing. He was like, what are we doing? I'm like, just watch. I would run this team meeting in the next couple of weeks. This is such a fun team meeting. So obviously maybe a little bit different to do when you're doing it over Zoom. But I would literally, if it was me, I would drive to my office. I would set up 60 chairs behind me, and I would run the Zoom meeting like with a downward-facing camera so they could see all these empty chairs behind me. Okay, and I said, listen, we're going to fill every single one of these damn chairs this summer. Every single one of these chairs is going to be filled, and you 3, you're going to be the flint that in the spark that lights this inferno. And I need your help. I need your help to build this. Okay? We want to build one of the biggest, baddest organizations in the history of the company. And I need your help to do it. And we did a triple threat post. And Joseph set, I think, 15 or 20 PRs from this triple threat post. We did some big paychecks, and messages blew up, and it started rolling. And I share this with you because I think about what can you do to paint vision, and what can you do to tie people in when you don't have a big team yet. I said, listen, How many of you, I think one of the things that a lot of young people are attracted to in today's day and age is working for a startup, right? They want to work in the startup ecosystem. And honestly, they have no fucking clue why. They don't realize it's because you get stock options and have a chance to, to have options. They just think it's cool that you can wear a t-shirt and jeans to work, right? That's why they want to work for a startup. Anyway, I think a lot of young people are attracted to that. And I made the analogy of, hey, listen, this is like being in one of the first 3 hires in a startup that I promise you is going to blow. Like, imagine being one of the first 4 people in the room to start Facebook. That's how big we're going to build this thing. Imagine being one of the first 4 people in the room that's the room that started Uber. That's what's going to happen here. And you are in at the ground level. So I want to share with you that there are 3 things that you can do to impact your summer individually and to impact this office in the most dramatic fashion possible. Here's what those 3 things are. Number 1, you can be consistent week to week. Hit the newsletter every single week. Don't let one damn week go by that you don't hit the newsletter. It's 3 orders, guys. We're talking about 5 or 6 demos completed. No matter what, you got to hit the newsletter. Consistency is how champions are born and bred. Consistency is what teaches you discipline and grit. Consistency is one of the most important things I look for when I'm looking for future potential leaders. So the number 1 thing that you can do to impact your office in your summer is to be consistent week to week and hit the newsletter. Number two is step up when it matters. Okay, we're going to have 3 major push periods this summer. How many are we going to have, gang? We're going to have 3 major push periods where you have an opportunity to step up. Let me tell you something. Big players step up at big times, okay? And when the lights are on, when there's 30 seconds left on the clock, and your team is down 2, there are 2 types of players. There's the type of player who doesn't want that ball in their hand for anything. Like, they will do anything to get that ball out of their hand. They're definitely going to pass, or they're not going to look to get open because they don't want the pressure. And then there's the second type of player that looks at his point guard, that looks at his coach and goes, give me the rock, okay? When the lights are on, when it matters, big players step up at big times. So we're going to have 3 opportunities for you to step up this summer. And the first is called SC1 Push. And I would go off on SC1 and I would promote it like it's the end of the world. Like literally what I share with my division is you need to act like the world ends on June 16th. At SC1. Whatever way you promote SC2, promote SC1 like that. And here's why. I don't care how big your SC1 is, your SC2 will always be bigger. And so I go off on the push. And then the third thing that you can do to impact your summer and to impact our organization in our office is to be an explosive team builder. And then I go off on things like culture. I go off on things like competition. I paint the vision and paint a picture of what the team meetings are going to look like. I paint a picture of what the phone jams are going to look like. I paint a picture of what the training classes are going to look like. I paint a picture of what CFC come August is going to look like when we're inducting the largest leadership academy team that the company's ever heard of or seen, right? And I go off on that. And then I say, hey, listen, how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time, okay? So let's start small. Here's what I need. I need 2 or 3 ass kickers. And this is a phrase that I've used and that I've leaned on since 2014. Hey, I need 2 to 3 ass kickers. Who are 2 or 3 people that you know would kick ass at this job? I'm talking athletes, top 10% of your class, people involved in drama or music. Who do you know that's competitive? Who do you know that has just an insane network, right? And I thought jog with them. And I start small, 2 to 3 ass kickers, 2 to 3 ass kickers. The easiest way that I find to recruit these people, without question, is through 3-way texting. Put them in a 3-way text with me. I respond. I get them on the phone. 3-minute conversation, set for an interview, and then it's game over. Because I know when they get in front of me and they see our pay rate and they see our training and they see our accolades, it's not a question. It's a done deal. They're showing up to training. And this is my mindset before the pandemic when I knew they didn't have anything else to do. So the team meeting exercise is really powerful. By the way, I use that as an opening to probably every other team meeting I run in the summer. Hey, there are 3 things that you can do to impact your summer and to impact our office in the most dramatic fashion. And I want to share with you what those 3 things are. And this is part of my opening comments in almost every team meeting of the summer. When you have assistant managers corralling assistant managers, sharing stories of the way that summers have launched based on who came in. I share the summer of 2014. It's one of my go-tos. I go, hey, listen, in 2014, I restarted my office over from scratch. Literally, I didn't have an office from December 26th of 2013 until April 16th of 2014. So if it was 2014, I don't even have an office right now. Okay? Just want to share this with you. I was really broke. I didn't do well with my money. I was an idiot. I didn't have an office space because I didn't have the money to be able to put down an office space. I had to go personally sell Cutco in order to have enough money to get a first month's rent and a deposit down and to get all my shit out of storage, right? I literally had to go out there and sell knives in order to do that, right? So don't be too good for that if you're in the financial situation that requires it. Anyway, so I did this. Got enough money for a security deposit. I remember I've never been more petrified in my life to sign that lease. I'm signing a 3-year lease. I'm like, oh my gosh, and it was like one of those, hey, all in decisions. Like there's no going back now, right? I got to figure this shit out. I got a 3-year lease, that requires $1,600, $1,700, $1,800 of my money over the next 3 years, right? I got to figure it out. Well, I had 2 kids. I had Alex Cazorla and I had Steve Onak. And here's what I said to them. I said, guys, I want you to think about it like this, okay? Assistant managers, listen. Who's the one kid from your school that if we told every other kid from your school that he was working here, that every other kid that went to school there would come running? They go, Angus Musser. I go, you got his number? He goes, yep. I go, give me his phone number right now. And I remember I called this kid and I name dropped some kids that had done well a couple years before him. Brian Barnett, Kaylee Kemi. I name dropped some of the lacrosse players, Davis Ray, his brother Owen Ray. Both those kids sold $30K for me, twins in a summer. Split their initial list up half and half, and both sold $30K for the summer. So I dropped some of these names. I'm like, oh yeah, you play lacrosse, cool. Oh, you go to Hampton, Sydney. Oh really? Do you know so and so? Do you know so and so? I'm just name dropping. I'm like, hey, listen, we're bringing on some people. May not be your thing, but I wanted to at least invite you to come in and check it out because it seemed like you were well connected with people who had done well. He came in. Now, all he did was sell $4K his first weekend. He sold another $2,000 after that. And then he started lacrosse camp. That was it. He was coaching. He was committed to coach a lacrosse camp for the whole summer. And that was all he did. He sold $6,000, but he sold $4,000 his first weekend, which means he made like $500-600. And all we did was say, anytime we called a kid from Myers Park High School, oh, blah, blah, I don't know, blah, blah, I already have a job. Well, hey, listen, I don't know if do you know Angus Musser? Yeah, okay. He started last week. He made $600 his first 2 days, made $1,000 his first week. Do you want to at least come check it out? Literally every single kid came in, okay? And so one of the things I'm always asking my assistant managers, who is that person? Who is that person that we drop his name and everyone from the school comes running, right? I partner with my assistant managers. You know why? Because I believe in this. Because I know in 2009, I had Kaylee Kemi. And Kaylee Kemi, the very first person that she recommended to the job was a kid named Andrew Quintana. Andrew Quintana came in, sold $10,000 his first 10 days. He recommended 9 people for to the job that summer, 9 launched PRs. The first one that came in was Brian Barnett. Brian Barnett sold $6,000 his first 10 days, went on to sell $30K with me, went on to be a 2-time AM, went on to be a branch, now works at Salesforce. He is absolutely killing it. He's making $150,000 a year, lighting it up. Brian recommended a kid named Clayton Lineberger. Clayton Lineberger sold $10,000 his first 10 days, recommended a kid named Wes Davis. Wes Davis sold $17K his first 10 days, recommended a kid named Headley Jennings. Headley Jennings sold $10K his first 10 days, recommended a kid named George Haddock. George Haddock sold $10K his first 10 days. And I show them through these stories why this matters. You might be thinking, well, Brian, I don't have those stories. Okay, well, I might have went pretty quickly through these examples, but until you have your own, use mine. We had a rep. We did have a rep. The company had a rep named Wes Davis, right? So you're not lying. We had a rep that sold $17K their first 10 days who recommended another rep named this, who did this, right? Use your DVM stories if you don't have them yet, right? This is, you guys might recognize the name Andrew Evans. Well, it's funny. Andrew Evans, for about 2 years, ran my training seminar using my exact stories because he didn't have his own yet. And then as soon as he had a couple of his own to plug in, he started using his own. Now they're all his own stories, right? So this is critical, and I just show example. I go from 2009. I talk about what happened in 2010. I remember these specific situations from these summers of the PR change that happened. And I show them how critical this is, right? You have to corral and partner with your assistant managers. The single most important thing that you can do as an assistant manager, the single most important thing is to get your own kick-ass PRs in the door early. Get your own kick-ass PRs in the door early. And here's why. When you get them in the door early, they fast start big early. They recommend 200 of their friends early. When we call all those people, we tell them, oh yeah, your friend just made $2,000 their first 10 days, and they come running early, and it builds, and it builds, and it builds, okay? This is the single most important thing that you can do as an assistant manager. The other thing I think about is social media jumpstart, where this is almost like targeted mailers, right? My division is probably, I'm not a micromanager whatsoever, not my style, not enjoyable to me. If that's your style, great, to each his own. I just hate it. It drives me crazy. It drove me crazy when people try to micromanage me. It drives me crazy to micromanage other people. I'm a big picture guy. I'm an execution guy. However, there is some things every now and then that I micromanage. And one of the things that I've micromanaged over the last 10 weeks has been social media jumpstart. It's literally been a daily question. How many accepted on Facebook? How many have you followed on Instagram? How many's on your SMRA list? My guys are so sick of hearing me asking for this. And by the way, they can't hide. I kicked a couple weeks ago. This sounds intense, so take this with a grain of salt. But I literally kicked 2 kids out of my TLA group chat because they kept trying to be a ghost and hide from me on their updates. And I called their DM and said, "Hey, listen, dude. I just want you to know, I don't think you should have these guys as AMs. I know that's not what you want to hear on the doorstep of the summer. I'm just telling you, you're either an anchor or you're a sail. And these guys are anchors, dude. I'm telling you, they're going to drag you down. They're going to keep you in the same place you are now. They're not going to help put wind in your sails and take you somewhere else that you want to go. I'm telling you, cut the cord now before it gets harder to do it at another point in time." And he heeded my advice. And he's going to have a really green staff, and he might have to do more than he normally would. He might not be able to delegate as many interviews, but the reality is that's going to create a bigger, better summer for him. If you try to hide in my group chat, if you try not to give me updates, I kick your ass out of there. But the social media jumpstart is so critical. Here's why. This is like a targeted mailer. It's a targeted mailer. Like, you know exactly where they go to school. You know exactly what they're interested in. You know what they look like. Holy shit! I was giving some. I was talking trash to my boy Seabass the other day. He sent some picture of some dude doing something real ratchet on Facebook or something. He's like, social media jumpstart in Chicago. I'm like, you are an idiot. You have control over who you're friending. Stop friending idiots. Stop friending these types of people, dude. Like, you know what they look like. You can look at their profile, click on their profile, scroll through it like for 5 seconds, and make a decision if you want to friend them or not. Social media jumpstart. We're going so hard on this, and I'm so fired up about social media jumpstart this summer. Here's why. We've started the process of hiring or recruiting social media recruiting assistants in my pilot. And I just want to share with you what's coming, okay? And I believe in my heart and soul, every single one of you are going to feel what I'm feeling right now. So we've worked really hard in the Eastern region developing this social media recruiting assistant role over the last 8 months. This is basically a PR caller who we are intentionally bringing on to be able to utilize recruiting into their natural networks, right? So I've had my AMCs following all these classy, attractive, like intelligent men and women that we would want to have representing our business and want to be the face of our business on social media. And yes, you heard me say gentlemen too. We're not just recruiting ladies for this role, okay? One of my best SMRAs over the winter break was this kid named Will Hodges, and he was my best caller with bar none. It wasn't even close. Like 50% showed at interviews and then had a 6K fast start before leaving back to school, right? So anyway, so I've had a logical conviction in the SMRA program. Like Jeff, bless Jeff Gamboa, okay? Bless him and bless Andrew Evans. They came up with this beautiful table of contents and folders and every document, and it's so plug and play, it doesn't even make sense. And so I'm looking over it, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so easy, plug and play, super simple. I had a logical conviction, but then I made a decision, because we get paid the big bucks, to roll up my sleeves and get my hands dirty. And I started running these, and I said, listen, because our pilot was sucking. I was like, this was a couple weeks ago. I'm like, listen, we're not going to focus on managing the 3 idiot reps that we have that, can't close a door. What we're going to focus on is getting some SMRAs, okay? So the only thing I want you to focus on is getting me some really sharp SMRAs we're going to unleash. Start messaging right now, right? It was the only focus I had. I said, every morning, I want each one of you to send 25 messages. I want you to triple threat 3 times a week. Let's get this going. Well, let me share with you what's happened. I've already interviewed, I want to say, personally, I've already interviewed 12 people for this position. Each of these 12 people, at least 10 of them, were sharper than anyone I had walk into my office last summer. And, I'm like, I have a girl from the Madera School, which is one of the best private schools in my area. I haven't gotten into it for the last 2 summers. I have a girl I have the president of the student body at McLean High School, which is the biggest and wealthiest public school in my area. Oh, by the way, she's on a full ride to NYU next fall. I have a girl from Oakton High School who's going to USC and has 6,000 followers. I have a girl from Virginia Tech that is in a sorority, just super sharp, started this program called Girl Up at her high school. She's so freaking awesome. A couple thousand followers. Like, what I'm telling you is, I have never seen the caliber of people responding to messages, showing to interviews, and showing enthusiasm for the position like I've seen this summer. It's time. Like this is one of those summers, I'm telling you, we're going to talk about the summer of 2020 for a decade plus. We're going to look back at 9, 10 years, 20 years from now, and we're going to talk about that summer. What happened that summer? I'm just telling you, the social media jumpstart is going to blow up like it never has before. And I think that if you're not focused on making sure that you're being intentional about who you're adding, who you're friending, that you might be missing it a little bit on that. To wrap this up, here's what I want. Here's what I want to finish with. You have to choose to either be, and I know you guys are loving these analogies. You have to choose to either be a thermometer or a thermostat. Okay? Are you going to just tell the temperature? Or are you going to be the person that rises the temperature? Right? The thing about a thermostat, a thermometer tells you, how hot or cold it is. The thing about a thermostat is, when it gets too cold, it kicks on the heat. Right? And so the question is, are you just going to tell the temperature, or are you going to be the person that raises the temperature? Okay? It starts with you. It starts with your mindset. It starts with your mentality surrounding this. Okay? And I want to share with you that I really believe we're on the doorstep of what will be one of, if not the single greatest recruiting summer we have ever had. Listen, I don't give a shit if I take a 50% haircut in productivity. I want to say this. My productivity last summer was $4,000 PPR, right? Well, guess what? If that drops to 2,000 PPR this summer, but I recruit 500 people, we're gonna have $1 million summer, and we're gonna grow. Okay, so I'm not saying that this isn't the inevitable, right? We might take a little bit of a haircut in productivity. By the way, I think there's a possibility that we don't. Just throwing this out there. In my heart and soul, I believe that we can get the same productivity with the virtual demo than we can with an in-home demo. Again, that's a mindset. It's a belief structure more than it is, mechanics and systems and programs. I really believe that. But even if I take a 50% haircut in productivity, but we recruit 500 people this summer, we're going to sell $1 million new business. Okay, so think about the opportunity at hand and make a decision how you are going to execute on and capture that opportunity. Thanks for your time today, gang.
Wow.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to unmute and make sure Brian hears and feels the love, the gratitude.
Nice.
Dude.
Thank you.
Dude.
Gang.
Love the hat too, Brian.
I'm trying to channel every bit I can, man. I'm going through the wall, dude.
Dude.
Kind of leaves you speechless. I mean, there was a lot of nuggets shared in the chat, and that was going off the whole time, which was just a reflection of people trying to keep up, I think, with everything you just shared. So, yeah, it was. Thank you,
dude. That just happened. Yeah. Brian Hurlman, ladies and gentlemen, how about another round of applause for Brian Hurlman? I mean, that might be my favorite moment of 2020. I'll say it again. That might be my favorite moment of 2020. Right there. Dude, I am so fired up. Hurlman, you need to read the chat, man. There is fire, straight fire here, man.
I'm going back up, dude.
I mean, you want to get through that, brother. There is the chat is super PG-13. Actually, it's actually might even be G rated.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I tend to curse. I apologize, Angie. I get fired up. I'm just used to doing it with my group. They know what's up.
Dude, we love you. I'm just so proud. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of Team Canada because I know that everything that you're saying, this is going to be a thing. And look at Alexandra. Hey, everybody, it's Alexandra Hurlman.
Hey, by the way, I also want to say this.
Man.
I got to throw this out there. People are buying, okay? Alexandra works in B2B sales. She closed her biggest sale of her career this past week. Yeah. And Andrew Smallwood, who also works at the same company, I know many of you know, a couple of you on the company love Smalls. They closed the single biggest deal in the history of the property management space, okay? So it's kind of like our average order, like an average sale. An average sale for Alexandra is like 300, 300 doors. She closed her biggest sale this week. It was like 1,500 doors, like an ultimate, like Siggy ultimate set. And think about an order that is 100x that. That's basically what they closed today. Okay, people are buying.
Yeah. Well, the sign behind you the whole time has been Alexandra, so we get you. We get you. We get where the power comes from. But wow, hey, thank you for sharing, Brian, tonight. It's late over there, but this has been pure fire. This has been a special moment in Team Canada history. I've been at 25 of these, and that was a wow. So thank you so much, Brian, for coming out tonight. I'm not even an MC right now. I'm just face melted, fired up, man. Thank you. And you're a friend, and I'm still like, oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you for bringing your best.
Joe, did you want to add something?
Hold my beer.
Sometimes people say it's hard to find the positive in this virus, but you've been a great addition to this event for us, Brian. And this is us making lemonade out of lemons, and this was a highlight of tonight, and a lot more great things to come. You're a busy guy, and appreciate all you're doing to help us and help your region, your division, and all of Vector as we pull through this and be the champs that we are. And what you're feeling is what we're feeling, man. I've been around 2007 and 8. I've been around 9/11. I've been around these things, and Vector has a way of turning